Welcome back to another episode of the Humble Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Nick Jones, with Kayla Ebner.
Hello, hello.
And today is a special day because we have our first virtual guest. Calvin, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself here, but we have our friend Calvin from Vancouver, Canada.
Woo woo.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. So my name's Cal, and I'm a videographer here in Vancouver, BC. I've been in the industry for the last 7 years, I would say. Kind of just dabbling a lot of corporate work, a lot of weddings, and a lot of new things here and there, but not necessarily having a theme. But yeah, we kind of just do a bunch of videos and photos here, and just like Nick, self hustling, I guess, and kind of just working hard every day and see where this creative space takes us. I never used to take it seriously, but now it's kind of taken over my life, and I found later on that there's actually a lot of interest and needs in this industry that people need in their businesses and things like that. And it just got me thinking, I should probably do something about it. And here we are, meeting people from Boston and, all over the globe. And it's honestly super cool. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but in a little bit here, I'll probably talk about my history as well as Kayla and Nick here as we get to know them.
Love that.
I want to stress
That's
this
awesome.
too. Like, this is not a normal, vet client not client, like a colleague relationship where it's like, oh, I've known him for years. Calvin, we've only known each other for like maybe a month or so, and how this came about was, I think I told you this initially, but I was on Instagram and I was just scrolling, and I went on, there's like the home, the search, the reels tab at the bottom. I clicked on the search, and you can see this top bar, which is, you can type whatever, and you see a bunch of thumbnails below, right? So I saw a thumbnail that I just thought was cool. I clicked on it. It happened to be Calvin's reel. I forget exactly what it was, but I literally clicked on it because I liked your thumbnail. And then I was like, oh, this is a cool video. I go to his account, and I'm like, oh yeah, these are all really good. I hit follow, and like 5 seconds later, I hit you with a message, pretty much just saying like, hey, I just found your stuff. I happen to really like it. Just wanted to say hi, something along those lines. And that led us to having a couple Google Meet Zoom calls. And here we are now as a virtual guest on our podcast.
So funny.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited because I've told Nick before, like, I've never really been on a podcast. Like, I talk to a lot of people in the industry, kind of how we're doing now, but it's never recorded. It's never anything serious. Kind of like, I guess I wouldn't say like this is too serious. It's more like we're kind of getting to know each other, but there's a lot of important topics that kind of come up within these conversations. And it was such a great idea to bring it into a podcast. And so when Nick reached out, I was like, dude, I love your stuff. He likes my stuff. And then we went on a quick call. We just got to know each other, and he's on the other side, right? Like, I'm on the West Coast, and he reached out. We had to figure out a time that works for both of us, because obviously there's a time difference. And yeah, I just wanted to get to know his story, and it's super cool just meeting people like you guys. Like, I wouldn't have met you if I wasn't in the industry, right? So yeah,
Exactly.
Extremely cool. It was probably just a month ago that you guys found me, and yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. I think that's one of the coolest things about our industry is how we're so connected digitally. We're also involved in social media because we have to, right? But part of it's because we want to, unless you're Nick and you hate social media. But like, that's how I met Aiden. He followed me on Instagram, and I followed him back, and we interacted online, and we met up for coffee. And like, that's how we became friends. One of our previous guests that we had. So I really like that about our industry. We're not very shy typically. We do tend to connect really easily and vibe. So we're excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I guess let's start by kind of hearing your origin story. Like, how did you kind of get into this creative video photo industry? Like, did you go to school for it? Self-taught? Can you kind of take us back?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, as I said, about 7 years ago is when I probably started taking this pretty seriously. But prior to that, I was in culinary school right after high school, thinking I wanted to be a chef, and I still do. I still work at a restaurant, currently once a week, just for fun. But
That's so
but
cool.
yeah, I went to school for 3 years. I got my red seal. I don't know what the equivalent is there in the States, but basically it's just like a certificate you get for being a professional cook or something. But anyway, I took it seriously. I wanted to manage a restaurant, things like that. And then I found out really quickly that that's a very stressful job. And it just like the hours just weren't for me. And yeah, just like I've always taken photos growing up. So ever since I moved to Canada in 2008, so just over half my life ago. And then from then, I picked up a camera, just started taking pictures, you know, like how we all do. We take pictures of flowers and, you know, like fall season, winter. Yeah, we all start the same way. And then, yeah, then I think my first paid gig it was a wedding actually. So one of my managers at a restaurant was like, hey, I'm getting married. Like, do you want to take pictures? I'm like, I have no idea how to take pictures of a wedding day. And he's just like, oh, it's fine. I'll pay you. Just show up. And I was like, I had nothing. Like I had one camera, one person doing like a 13-hour day. And then, yeah, I just showed up, took photos. You know, I don't really want to show them because they're probably really bad. But that's when I started everything. I was like, whoa, that's kind of, you know, it's kind of cool to get paid to do photos. And then from then on, it was kind of just like, and I assume it's the same for you too, Nick, right? Like it just kind of snowballed from one client to another. And I find in this industry, it's kind of the same thing. Like you do one thing or another, and then it leads to another client, to another client. So that's kind of just how everything started. And so at that time, I was still working full-time as a cook at a restaurant I used to work at. And a couple years later, I've developed my own business. You know, I registered legally as a sole proprietor, so I can kind of benefit from all the taxes and stuff. And then, yeah, I've kind of just started getting more gigs now that I was able to part ways with the restaurant. But it took a long time. Like I only started doing this full time about, you know, last year, I would say like 2 years ago, I think is when I actually relied on this as like my main source of income. And so, you know, that was kind of scary for me because coming out of high school, you don't really know, like, you know so little about life, right? So I get out there and then you're doing this big thing where you don't have a boss, you don't know anything about business. You're just like putting your pedal to the metal, basically. Like this is it, you know, like if this doesn't work out, you go back to school, do something else, you know what I mean? So it was like that big risk for me that was kind of scary. And honestly, I do not regret anything. Like I'm still at a point where it's still so stressful. There's still a lot of hands-on work. But it's either this or like, do I go back to a 12-hour, 13-hour kitchen day where you have a boss, you know, screaming at you all day? I was like, no. And so, yeah, that's kind of my journey. Like, obviously there's lots in between that, but that's kind of how it started. And I don't see myself doing anything else other than this moving forward, to be honest. Like I love meeting new people, and it seems that every year progressively, it's just like, I just meet like an exponential amount of people, and the work exponentially grows as well. So I just see this being like a very good uphill climb for as long as we keep doing what we're doing now. And then hopefully long-term goals to have a team where we can work together and I don't have to physically be around. I kind of just manage, more so on the managing side and like figuring out all the marketing and stuff for my own business. But all the hands-on work, I would love to kind of hopefully branch out one day. But yeah, as of right now, it's kind of still in that like transitioning stage. Yeah, but yeah, that's kind of my story.
That's so cool. I love that. And you started as a chef and you have all these culinary skills. I feel that of like, I could never see myself doing anything else. It's such a scary, huge risk when you're jumping into it and you're like, oh my God, I don't have a steady paycheck. I don't know where the money's going to come from next. But once you really you have to trust yourself and know that you can do it. And then you get fully in it and you're like, oh my God, this is so fun. It's like a whole new type of stress, but it's just, it's a blast. So I'm glad that you're doing really well. It's awesome.
It sounds like you said you started in photography, correct? But nowadays you identify more as a videographer, right? So I guess at what point did you kind of make that shift from more photography to leaning towards more videography? Because I made that same shift, and I was curious how it happened for you.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I still do both currently. I'd say if I were to put a rough estimate on my, one or the other, it'd be around 70% video, 30% photos, I would say. There's a lot of reason behind it. It's from like offering packages, more value, things like that to clients. It's always good to have kind of both. But I just found that not only was it easier to land some clients with video, because it's not just social media these days. It's like you have the power to websites, you have like things like that, right? YouTube. There's a lot of ways for people to actually advertise their work, their business, their service, and products that they're selling. There's a lot of things that benefit, in my opinion, where videos is an easier way to explain to clients, whereas photography is quite huge as well when it comes to, think about what you said earlier, right? Like you found me through a thumbnail, and that's through a photograph. Like that's technically a picture. So in my like, it's hard to like have one or the other. So I did the transition, I would say maybe 4 years ago remember when like Instagram switched everything to Reels? They were like, you gotta have everything like, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, like just like short form content. And at that time I was like, I gotta change my photography. Like I gotta start doing videos. I gotta learn how to do this thing. And as you know, in this industry, like the learning never stops. So where I learned 4 years ago to where I'm at now, I'm still like right here. Whereas like the potential is like so high up, right? Like there's so many things you can learn. So yeah, right now I'm still kind of learning my ways, but I would say about 4 years ago is when I started switching everything to video.
That's a good point, because I think a lot of people shared that experience. Like I've totally forgot about that until you just said it. Like when Instagram shifted, there was two camps: the people that embraced it and was willing to make that shift to video, and then I personally know a handful of people who were very against it, and they're like, just because Instagram is making us like pushing this, I'm not going to be making any videos. And they're the ones that suffered, while the ones that embraced it thrived.
That was me at first. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I have to do it. Everyone else is. It's like, remember when stories became a thing? We never used to have stories, and now like stories are huge. It's crazy. Can I ask you how old you are, Calvin?
I'm 28.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, sorry, we were curious about that.
Yeah, I'm 28. I'm turning 29 at the end of this year, actually.
Awesome.
Sweet. Love that.
I guess we kind of wanted to dive into marketing in general. So, you and I have talked off the mic a little bit, but we wanted to discuss it here. Like, what is your largest lead generating source? Like, how do you typically market yourself, your company? Like, what's that look like?
Yeah, so I think that's definitely like a huge weak point right now currently on my business. And again, this ties back down to me wanting to outsource a lot of the hands-on work that I currently have, because I genuinely believe that working on your business is different from working in your business. And if you're working in it, you don't have time to do anything else to develop your business. And I get that, like, what we do as videographers, photographers, is we're trying to, focus on our clients, right? Because we got to deliver what's important for them. And then we do that. But then what? Right? So like afterwards, it's like, how do we take that value and give it to someone else or show someone else? The only way to do that is to really show, like, in my opinion, I think like the BTS, the testimonials, it's the after effects of these videos are what really shows value into your work. Not just towards one client, but like towards other potential clients that are looking. So I think that's why I struggle the most, is like, I spend so much time editing, shooting, having consultation meetings, like, just all of this stuff just takes a lot of my time, that I feel like 24 hours in a day isn't enough. Like I feel like there's not enough day. And so back to the marketing point, currently right now, as you've seen a lot of my reels, like I'm starting to do more BTS. I'm starting to like film myself more. And I was mentioning this to Nick yesterday. I said, I don't like being in front of a camera. Even right now, like I feel uncomfortable. It's just like, I'm not quite solid yet, but I found out that I need to have a familiar face for my potential viewers and my followers or people who actually care about my work, because they need to see me, right? Like they see Cal Creative Films, whatever, like, or Map and Snap Visions, which is my weddings account. They need to see like what Cal looks like, what Cal's personality is like, because end of the day, like there's so many videographers just like you and me, and why would they go with me instead of them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, besides the little changes in style, it's a huge part to have customer service and, you know, things like that, right? So I think I'm so stressed with that kind of process that it's very hard to have time to market myself in that aspect. But currently it's a lot of word of mouth. It's snowballed over the last 7 years now that luckily for me in Vancouver, like I have like a solid community, I guess, that kind of know me based off a lot of luck. I was telling Nick that yesterday that I was lucky enough to work in a restaurant for a decade, basically full time. And so at that time, I was able to dabble into the marketing team. And then from then on, did some gigs for them, posted online. And then now another restaurant or another this and that reach out to me. And so they've kind of just become my constant retainers. And then from there, you know, like randomly, I bought my puppy. I have a little corgi. I bought it off a guy in like West Vancouver where like the rich folks are. And then I get up there and then he's like, yeah, just choose your puppy, whatever. And then I was like, he's like, what do you do for a living? I want to make sure you can sustain a puppy. And I was like, oh, I take videos for a living. He's like, oh, I have a construction company. I actually need videos. And I was like, oh, why don't we make a deal? So he gave me the puppy for free. And I worked for him like maybe like 15 gigs after that. So I basically made money working for him and I got a free puppy. But you know what I mean? Like it's just randomly by luck. And it's also a lot of, you know, collaborating with people. I think that's huge because I really believe that if you work for free, for example, on a project, right, that you believe in and you put your heart and soul into it and you post it online and all your friends go, oh, that's cool, whatever. And then it's like nothing after that. But if you have like a collaboration post or like a friend of a friend shares it, but they have a following where they see value in that work, chances are they'll probably hire you. So like a lot of times in the last like 3-4 years when me and my fiance actually started working together on her gigs, because she does social media content creation, I would say. She hates like the word influencing, but she does her own business, but based off lifestyle and content for UGC, things like that on TikTok and Instagram. And she's been hiring me lately over the last 2 years over some projects like travel projects, you know, bag companies, Turo, you guys know Turo, you know, things like that. So I've been shooting for them. And then she's been loading me up with credits and things. And then from those videos, I got a ton of different companies reach out going, hey, we want something just like this. How would you like this? Like, for example, like the scooter companies, like they sent me, that's the third scooter they sent me so far, just because they wanted content. What else? Like the rooftop tent company. So like tons of these companies just like reach out now because they saw value in my previous work. So I think it's a lot of luck, and there was a lot of just putting in the time, like to put up these videos, and who cares about likes? Just like put it up. Someone will find value in it, and eventually like they'll reach out. And so to answer your question, like in terms of marketing myself, and I mentioned this to you, Nick, yesterday, I said, it's crazy because I feel like I'm hitting a plateau when it comes to bookings that I hate saying no, but I have to because I won't be able to deliver all of this. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be saying, hey, I can create these videos for you. Absolutely. But these videos take weeks to make. And there's only 4 weeks in a month. And they don't expect these videos to take 2-3 months. So that's why I'm saying, like, I think scaling up to have a team to help you edit or help you shoot or something like that will keep the ball rolling. Like I don't want to have a cap where, you know, once you say no to a client once, odds are they're probably like, oh, he's too busy for me, right? Like I want to be able to make a client feel like they're my only client, but I haven't been able to find that yet. Like it's been so hard, honestly. Like it's been so hard. Because then I'll have more time to market myself and be able to make other clients feel like they're my only client. But right now, unfortunately, like that's kind of just how things are. But like, that's the truth behind all of this, is like, it's just like so busy, you know? And yeah, so in terms of marketing, I've been kind of putting a pause because of that reason, for sure.
Yeah,
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, speaking to my soul, 24 hours in a day is not enough. I relate to that so much. Yeah. That's the struggle of being a solopreneur, right? We were going to ask you, one of my questions was going to be like, what's the hardest part about being by yourself doing this? And that's definitely a huge part of it for me, is just finding the time to do all of this and prioritize your clients while still working on your business. It's near impossible. And speaking of your the name and everything, and you said like showing yourself and how people find you. When Nick told me that we were going to have you on as a guest, and he was like, this guy's awesome, he's so cool. I was like, oh, I'll look him up. I could not find your name anywhere, like your full name. I looked on your website, your Instagram. I saw the Cal, and I was like, so is it Cal? Is it, I don't even know, but like, I couldn't find your name. It was so funny. I was like, man, he's a mystery man.
I agree. I don't think I have it anywhere. It used to be a personal account, and I swapped it to, you change your username to like what you're currently doing, and it's the first thing people find. So right now I've changed my username to Vancouver Videographer. Because when someone in the area goes Vancouver Videographers, odds are my name will probably pop up.
Whoa, wait, is that a thing? Does SEO run that deep with usernames?
I don't know, but if you go on Instagram and you search up Vancouver Videographer, there's only a few that pop up. So I don't know, like I don't study SEO and stuff, but in my head I was just thinking like, what if this is a smart thing to do? And so I just do that. And on my website, like I put a bunch of Vancouver related stuff, right? It's like, if I were like a small business, what would I look for if I needed videos? So like, those are the kind of things I would just hashtag, but I wouldn't say like it's anything, decent, honestly. Like I never put any thought into it, but yeah, that's it's funny you mentioned that, because I don't think I recall, me having my full name anywhere else other than my email and my contacts probably, but yeah.
That's so funny.
That's interesting. I want to say like, when you were talking about all the stuff that you were working on, you briefly mentioned that you got sent some scooters, and we were talking about this off the mic too. We were just curious how, because we saw you posted a reel fairly recently about a scooter, I think yesterday. It
was cool, yeah.
And we liked it, and we were like, we wanted to see if you would open up about that client in particular, like how'd that come to be? You said like your fiance kind of got you into there, but you seem to have thrived that relationship further than the initial scope.
Yeah, so this goes back probably, I think the first scooter they sent was the year before last year, so like the end of that year, so probably 2 years ago, I would say. I thought it was actually a scam company, because they emailed me and it says like Apollo, whatever, and I was like, I don't know if I should say the company name, but either or, it doesn't matter. Anyway, great relationship with the company. They reached out to me and they were like, hey, we saw your work online and we love what you do. We're just wondering if you wanted a scooter. I was like, all right, this is a scam. But then like the email was legit. Like it says like at the company name. And so, I entertained it. I was like, hey, I DM'd them on Instagram. I said, did you guys email me? And then they were like, yeah, we just haven't heard back yet. I was like, oh, so it is legit. And then so we had a video call, kind of like what we're doing now. And I said, I just want to know more about it. What do you guys want? What are the deliverables? Making sure when the deadlines are. And like, yeah, just like film something cool, take some photos. And then if we like it, then we'll post it. And I was like, okay, sure. So they sent that to me. It was like a $2,000 scooter. I don't really use scooters. Like that was like my first like item that was given to me ever. And like, to take videos and photos of it. I thought it was really cool because my fiance like gets stuff all the time. Like we have like we should have a warehouse, honestly. Like it's just too much to handle. And it's, here in Vancouver, space is so important too. But anyway, besides that, I was so excited. I was like, this is so cool. Like I've never gotten anything for free. And so I took photos of that. Since then, they loved it so much, they reached back out. They're like, hey, how would you feel about another scooter? This one, no one can buy yet. Like, this one is like a pre-launch, like no one can even like look this up yet, but we just need content downtown. So I put together a little group of people to help me out. Shout out to all of them. There's so many. But yeah, we went downtown for like, it was like a 3-day shoot. So we did downtown, we did like an off-roading and then whatever. And then we did photos, videos. They loved it again. So they did another call with me saying, hey, this time, this is a $5,000 scooter. This is like our pro or whatever. The one I posted recently. That was actually shot like a few months ago. I just haven't had time. I'm just trying to like just satisfy the clients as I go. But yeah, that's the recent one you saw is the Apollo Pro. But yeah, these gigs weren't paid. These are all like gifted products for me to shoot in exchange for that scooter. So they just give me a set of deliverables and then I send that off and then I get to keep the scooters.
Oh,
that's
okay,
pretty awesome,
cool.
though. Yeah. Like, those are some valuable scooters.
Yeah, $2,000 for a scooter. Damn.
Yeah, they're cool. I mean, obviously, like, I have no use for 3, so I've just been giving them to friends that are still in the area so I can borrow them when I need to take photos or videos of them. But yeah, a lot of my friends that actually walk or take transit downtown, I've been trying to help them out so that they can just take the scooter instead, right? Instead of walking. So it's more beneficial for them. But yeah, that's that company. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no.
Very cool.
So another thing you touched on, there was just a lot to kind of unpack when you talked earlier, which is great. Like, everything you said was spot on. And I totally agree with everything. But I wanted to circle back to like almost the behind the scenes content and stuff. Like, I thought, Kayla, you're better than I am about taking behind the scenes footage and stuff. I just always forget when I'm on set to do it. But I feel like you have a ton of footage of yourself. But I'm like, do you bring someone on to your shoots specifically to film BTS of you? Or are you just aware enough to set up a camera on your own? Like, how do you always remember to do all the BTS?
That's right. That's a good point. So actually, only recently I've been trying to show, I think you've already followed me then when I posted on Instagram saying, hey, I know I've been struggling to market myself, but I really want to put a familiar face here on my page. And it was like a slide of like 10 photos of me in my entire life because I'd never take pictures of me. But I think it ties back to that time where I was thinking, this is my way of marketing. Like, me showing this is what I do. This is what Cal does. This is what Creative Films is. We help businesses with videos here in Vancouver. Like, that's kind of, if you think of that, that's what I do for a living. So I was thinking, how do I show this to my viewers, right? So in my head now, and I mentioned before that these videos we make is for our client. It's not for us. So for us to actually find other value from other clients is they have to see our work as well as the results. Those are just the results. They need to see like the process. They need to be educated why they need these kind of videos, right? So this is what I started thinking, like, okay, if I can gain trust from companies based off my current clients. So what I mean by that is if I shoot, for example, for White Spot, it's a very big chain restaurant here, very trusted company. If other clients see me shoot that company, they're going to be like, okay, if White Spot is big enough and they're going with Cal, odds are he's good at what he does. Does that make sense? Like, I don't have to prove that. I just need to show that, hey, look, this client hired me. This client hired me. So I needed to show that somehow without using the confidential stuff that I've shot for them, because it's illegal for me to post that stuff. I don't have rights. I signed the contract for me to give them that, which we'll touch base later. Like I said to Nick, we do have like exclusivity stuff, which is very important, I think. But that's kind of how I think of it, is like, whatever gig I'm shooting, I think, how can I give value towards another client based off this current shoot? So I set up my phone, I set up my camera, or, you know, even as simple as like one of these DJI mics, I just hold it up to my face and I talk about random things that day. I'm like, hey, look at this studio. And people are like, oh my gosh, Kyle works with a studio. But it's true, like, I do work with studios, but how else can I show that, right? Like, I can't just, like, you know, when you look at real estate videos and it's just like living room, bathroom, and it's like, dude, like, that's cool, that's necessary, but no one is gonna watch those kind of videos. Like, I feel like I'm trying to push more entertaining videos, but they do take time. But even as little as that is already good enough content for BTS stuff. So that's kind of my philosophy, is like for every shoot, I have to take BTS. I have to take something that I was doing this shoot for certain companies. Because I think for me, that's like free gain on trust, if that makes sense. So it's kind of become a habit now where I always just bring like a phone tripod, or you can get one of these. It's attached to my camera right now, but it's like a 3/4 screw that attaches to my cage of my camera. And then I can put a phone next to it. So whatever my camera sees, I can also see. And sometimes I just talk to that camera and then, talk to my guests, with my clients, post a story. But that's kind of just been my workflow now, is like whatever I'm shooting, just bring a secondary camera or bring a phone and a microphone and then just film yourself. There's no like rhyme or reason. It's kind of just do it. Just do BTS. And then that's your post for the day kind of thing.
Yeah, that's great. And sometimes it can end up being double the content, right? You can post the behind the scenes and then you can post the result sometimes. Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I just forget because I feel like I'm just too in the zone. So I feel like I wouldn't be able to do what you do and just like set up my camera. I have very rarely, but I feel like maybe what's best for me is just to bring on an extra person to just come to my shoot and just film me and take photos of me for me, so I don't have to think about it. Because I feel like I focus too much on the actual filming and I just forget to film myself.
It's hard to like. Sometimes there's no time to be
but
honest.
I completely agree with everything you said.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think it's extremely important to show the process, not just the results. And yeah, that's how you're gonna get new clients. So something I definitely need to work on.
Yeah, I guess it's the same point I was saying earlier about working on your business and working in your business. So you focusing on your clients so much is like literally why they hired you in the first place. So you're doing good. You're working in your business in that aspect. But then working on your business would be like, like you said, having that second person come in to show your workflow, to show, what value you're offering to that client during the day of the shoot or day of consultation, things like that. So that's kind of what I think is a missed opportunity a lot of times with videographers I see here as well. Is like, and we talk about it a lot, but like you said, right? Like everybody kind of forgets to shoot, kind of a third person point of view of like this whole process. I'm not saying I shoot every single, I try and remember to, but I think it's definitely like a good idea to do so if you can, for sure.
I love that. We could always be better about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know you wanted to kind of dive into kind of the ins and outs of our industry, and it kind of ties into what we were saying, like the behind the scenes, not necessarily behind the scenes of our shoots, but behind the scenes of our process of like stuff the client doesn't tend to see. So we talked the other day and we gave the example of like, when a client asks for, oh, can you change this 1 second in the video here? In their eyes, it's a 1 second fix, no big deal. But on our end, that 1 second fix could be potentially days of work if it's like a complicated enough thing. So I think if you don't mind kind of diving into the ins and outs of the behind the scenes that, what they don't see.
Yeah. So I think when Nick asked me yesterday, what kind of stuff do you want to talk about? And then I brought that up because I was like, I'm holding this grudge, it's like, I've always wanted this out of me. But anyway, I'm not pointing out names, but you work on a project for like 2 weeks and a client says, hey, I want this 1 second clip out of here, but that's all I want changed. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So you go in, you time yourself, okay? You go in, you go back to your office, you re-edit this, take that 1 second out, you resync everything to that audio, you export everything, you wait, and then you upload everything, you wait, you email the client again. By that time, like, how long did it really take you to just change 1 second of that video? And then again, they would be like, hey, I need this changed again. So I think that's when, because I know there's going to be a lot of people in the comments going to be like, that's why you have contracts. Well, yeah, that's exactly why you have contracts. It's like, if you do want to offer revisions, and this is how we do it, like obviously every other agency does their own, but we like to just have one revision to make sure we've met your needs on that first try. Anything after that, and we just suggest to have everything on a big list written down all at once so that our editors or myself can just go in, change it out once, and anything after that, they know that they have to start paying per revision depending on what the changes are. Because I think too, like, a part of being a creative is you should have some sort of creative freedom as well, right? Like, obviously when it comes to corporate work, it's a bit different because everything's like by the book. So it's kind of hard to have creative freedom. That's why they're kind of boring. But when it comes to, regular jobs hiring you to do kind of a creative shoot for them, like, it kind of defeats the purpose of being a creative if you don't get to say, you don't get to have things your way, to an extent, obviously. But I think it really helps to have contracts, because I think that's one thing that clients don't typically see behind the scenes, that they're just changing 1 second, but it ends up being 15, 20 minutes of your time every time there's changes.
Yeah, you have to re-export, you have to re-upload, you have to do all this stuff. It adds up. And I have gotten burned in the past before when I didn't have contracts and a client wanted to just request an unlimited amount of edits. I mean, it was edit after edit after edit after edit, and ended up being totally not worth the money that I was making on the shoot, which has happened a couple times. And you learn from that and you make the damn contract. And I'm similar to you. I do like 1 to 2 revisions based on the project. I include that in there, but everything else, additional edits cost extra. It takes a lot of time. You're totally right.
Yeah, I do 2 revisions. Like, that's pretty standard for me. Per case, case by case, there might be an exception to that, but I typically do 2, and I do the same thing. I tell them, make sure you try and get all of them in the first round. Like,
yes.
Write down everything that you want changed. Don't skimp out on anything. I don't know if you know the software, frame.io is what I use. It's like, you can, timestamp your comments and stuff like that. It's super easy. So I just tell them, use this link, comment literally everything you want changed, and I'll get it done, and it will save us rounds later on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I also think, like, it's not entirely, like, the client's fault. Like, a lot of times it's, like, misunderstanding between you and them prior to the shoot, right? So I think that's when the consultation meetings are very important, to know exactly before they sign the contract that they know exactly what they're getting, what sort of video they're gonna get from the end of this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of like the scope of the whole project, I think it's very important to like kind of pinpoint everything as clearly as you can, written down, before you get them to sign it, so that they don't have to come back and be like, hey, I know we talked about this, but I want this changed. So just make it clear, I guess, because there's never going to be just, perfect every time, right? So it just helps alleviate some of that work when you have contracts. But yeah, I definitely agree. It's very important to have, for sure.
Do you have like a set niche that you would kind of define yourself in? Like, do you have a set style and industry that you typically work in, or do you do a lot of different things?
To be honest with you, I'm still even trying to figure out if I want to settle with like one type of theme. Like, I find that it's always a challenge, like one day we'd be shooting for a battery company, and next thing you know, we're shooting for a medical company. It's just like, I've come to realize that every video is just a problem solving video, right? So you're solving someone else's problem. And that's my bread and butter right there. I think at the end of the day, you sit down with a client who's interested in your work. It's not the quality, it's just the fact that they know they need videos. You stood out, they hired you. So now I think the most important part of the process is, what is the problem that they're solving? What is the item they're selling that's solving an issue? What is the service they're giving that's solving an issue in the world, right? Like, medical is like for sick people, restaurants for like hungry people. Like, how do we make things into a video? So I think that's the most important part. And that's what I found the most challenging, is like, there's always different niches that hire us. And I don't know if I have like a set one where I'm like, we always do kind of medical work and I love doing it. Like, I think I have more fun figuring out what the problems are with each video, and like kind of creating something fun and creative for that specific video, if that makes sense,
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Cause like I'm similar in the sense of I don't have a niche, but I wouldn't necessarily say like my like what I love the most is like the problem solving. I definitely have preferences. Like I do like e-commerce and product work more than other things because I'm allowed to be more creative. I can experiment and do some crazy camera stuff that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Like general kind of brand story videos are always fun for me too, like being able to tell that story. But industry wise for that, I don't really have a preference. But yeah, I find it interesting that you gravitate more towards like the actual problem solving as what drives you, not necessarily the niche.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if I have a favorite. I don't know if I have any. I may have some dislikes, but like at this point, it's just like, anything that comes up, it's like, all right, let's do it. Let's challenge ourselves. Let's shoot the video. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if they need an ad, they need a commercial, they need some sort of social media presence, like, branding videos. Let's do it. Like that's kind of our mindset, I guess, to just kind of do it and figure it out.
I like that. I've done a lot of different types of shoots, and I feel very lucky that I've gotten to kind of dip my toes into a lot of different things, and it's fun learning stuff about different industries and everything. But like I do feel I relate most to fitness, wellness and stuff, and like we've talked about finding a niche, and if I ever decide to go down that route, it would definitely be fitness, wellness, movement, yoga, all that stuff. Yeah.
There's pros and cons, like if you don't have a niche, then it's good because you have more options, right? You can do more things and, do them well. But then again, maybe if you do everything, you might not, it's, jack of all trades, master of none type situation. You might not be amazing at one set thing. But then on the other side, you can niche down and maybe you are like, only doing health and wellness and like you're fantastic at that. That's awesome. But it kind of pigeonholes yourself into that one niche. Like, sure, you could probably take on some side things here and there, like some, I don't know, real estate if you want, but it's not your bread and butter. And then you always have the fear of what if, for some reason, that industry that you decide to niche down into collapses somehow. Then the one thing you do all the time just doesn't exist anymore. You kind of screwed. It's
crazy. It's a risk. It is for sure a risk.
I agree. I think it is easier to keep track too, and not just the pre-production, but the post-production. If you already know what kind of work you'll be doing after, it's a lot easier to have that one niche and kind of know exactly how much work goes into it already. Whereas if you do it, I guess, kind of my way, where it's just like might do some documentary work here, might do some social media work here, and then we never know like how much time we dedicate towards that one project. So it's harder to calculate the hours of work incoming based off like each project. Like weddings take months to edit, right? Like in between each one, you know what I mean? Like if we're doing like 4 or 5 weddings in a month, like I'm not gonna be able to deliver that one wedding within that same month, you know what I mean? So and then there's the social media part where it's like quick turnarounds, So I do agree with you. I think it is more difficult, I think, when there's more niches that you're shooting. But yeah, maybe that's something we'll figure out in the future. But at this point, I don't really have favorites yet to pick from, but I would love to kind of know what I do. And I don't even know what title I have for myself. Like, Kayla asked earlier, what do you just like, how do you describe yourself? I'm like, I just take videos, man. Like that's what I do. So yeah.
I love that. Curious, I'm going to ask you, so I looked at your website and I saw that you do like food and restaurant content. So like coming from that industry, do you find that you have an even better lens on like how to capture all of that? And do you or do you not enjoy it because you came from there? You know what I'm saying?
That's a very good question. So I actually, first of all, I think the principles of photography and videography still apply regardless if you've been in that industry or not. Like the way you light stuff, the way you do these things is still the basics. It's all the same. In terms of knowledge of food, it does help a lot that I've been in the industry because I kind of know what part of this food is the most expensive part, which is the selling point of that object, whatever it might be, right? That item, that dish. But I do enjoy it a lot. So I had a talk with my previous chef, my teacher, my sensei, the guy that taught me over the years. And he's like, it's so perfect that now you're doing these videos for us. And you used to start in this kitchen, but now you're still with us, but you're not quite with us, but you're still doing it. Like, I was like, this is so cool. Like, I love still being able to have input, but now in like a different way, more in the digital modern photography, videography way of like showing off this product instead of actually working in the kitchen, sweating and doing all the hard work, you know what I mean? So that's kind of, in a sense, yeah, I do really love the fact that I'm still kind of in that industry, but in a different industry, if that makes sense. But yeah, to answer your question, I think definitely it does help to be a part of the industry before, but I think the principles are still the same. Like the lighting of everything still stays the same. I think the basics of shooting on shadow side to make sure there's three-dimensional objects, things like it's all the same. So nothing really quite changes. And there's tons of food photographers out there that might have their own ways, right? I'm not specializing in that, but yeah, generally speaking, yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I guess, can we go into some like camera basics here? Like, I forget if we talked about this, but what do you shoot on? Do you shoot Canon, Sony, Nikon, something else?
Yeah, so I shoot everything Canon. I've got I don't even know, I have 6 cameras just laying around. Just because we need a lot of different angles for weddings. So over the years, we've kind of just been buying this, buying that, whatever makes our workflow a bit easier. But we shoot a lot of Canon. They're all mirrorless, except for one's for a photo booth, which we just recently started. I was telling Nick about that. But yeah, we shoot everything Canon and the RF lenses for the most part for everything, yeah. My main is the R6 II, and then I've got 4 R7s, and I have one T7, the old Rebel, which I recently just got last week just for a photo booth, but just off Marketplace or something. But yeah, all mirrorless because they're lighter, they're easier to pack, especially during wedding days. I'm sure you know what it's like to carry all this stands and lights, and so we're trying to downsize. This tripod I'm currently using, I've got tons of these from Art Size. It's on Amazon. I think they're 190 US or Canadian. But they're carbon fiber. So all of them are carbon fiber. I got 4 of these guys, but they're super lightweight. And on wedding days, I used to have those big, beefy, videography tripods because I was man, that's cool. I got a big rig. It looks cool. But then, my little fiance and my assistants aren't that big. And, they're carrying this big ass, tripods. It's as big as their bodies. I'm okay, this is not sustainable. It needs to be everything needs to be smaller. So, this little R7 is like a toy, right? So I've got tons of these guys for that reason. It's just a size, honestly. If I could change one thing, if I could have cameras this big that has built-in NDs, that would be a dream. I'll buy it right now instantly, 100%. But yeah, because that's one of the things, screwing it, unscrewing it off, figuring out the right diameter just throws us off so much during the day. It's the biggest downside right now. But another reason too, these cameras all have dual card slots, just for peace of mind, and they all have unlimited recording. So that was a feature we never used to have over the years, and that's a big reason why we upgraded everything last year, was because we didn't want to have to go in the middle of a ceremony going, "Hey, are you at 29 minutes yet? You should restart it." That was too stressful for me. I was you know what, shoot everything 4K C-Log, and we're good to go. And we always shoot at 23.976 for any talking head, any wedding ceremony. I think we had this conversation before, Nick. Anything to do with stationary is always 24. All ceremony 24. It's just coming down the aisle, and leaving the aisle is at 60 frames. But otherwise, the rest of the wedding is all 24p.
Yeah, no, since you kind of started it off, let's just dive into weddings here, because we all do shoot weddings also. And so I have a few things I want to say based on what you just said. The whole sizing down, I'm in the same situation. I'm attempting to kind of restructure my wedding kit to make our days easier. However, the whole tripod situation, I've had a couple problems because The ones I'm using today, these are my smallest ones, super easy, super portable, but they only go up to like maybe 5 feet, 5.5 feet max. And what I've struggled with for ceremonies specifically is like when people stand up or if they're really tall and they're sitting, I can't get over their heads. So we've had like big tripods that are, with the big fluid heads, way bigger than these flimsy ones that are a little taller, but even those weren't big enough. So I recently just got one from Small Rig that goes up to like 77 inches or so I don't know what that is in centimeters or meters, whatever. Canada. But so it's taller than me, basically. And so now I know for sure it can get over people, but oh my God, it is huge. So it's carbon fiber, so it's not like super heavy, but man, it took up so much space in our bag. And we used it for the first time last weekend. And sure, it worked, but we're still kind of debating, like, is it worth it? Do we really care about getting over the people's heads? Because everything else we've scaled down. We don't use major light stands. I use it's a cheetah stand. I don't know if you've heard of that. They're built to be run and gun. So if you like pick it up, the feet auto collapse and it's just super easy to just run and go. So yeah, I've worked on sizing it down, but yeah, the tripod situation has been rough.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that 'cause I used to have the AED ones from Small Rig too. So I had 3 of those, but the aluminum version. So the same ones you have, I think, but it was like the heavier ones. And we used to have 3 of them. And like I said, like I have a little, I think it's called Magic Line bag. So it's just like a lighting bag that has all our lights, tripod stands. And one won't even fit in it. So I was like, we had to carry 3 of those. And I was like, I got to downsize everything. So like I said, I checked these. I did some research. And you can look into them. They're called Art Size CT80. They go up to like 6'4", 6'5". So they're quite high up. And they fold up like nothing. Like they're so little. They're so light. And the ball heads are really beefy. But that, it might be different for you because some videographers don't like ball heads on their video. But honestly, for weddings, for us, it's just like quick, get it done, and then we're out, right? So, we all have different styles, I guess, but I did come into the same issue with size for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. Camera equipment's heavy. You got I always joke, that's why I work out, so that I can carry all my camera equipment. It's crazy.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So do you have you're just a massive bag for the wedding stuff? I think we have.
Yeah, oh, sorry, keep going.
No, it's okay. I have it might be a think tank bag, and yeah, we shove all of our stuff in. We bring, I think,
need to get a bigger
3
bag.
Tripods, 2 light stands, actually 3 light stands now, and we started to bring these small 5-pound sandbags to weigh down our light stands because when people are dancing and especially when they're drunk dancing. We got a little worried about knocking our lights over. So we got these mini sandbags to kind of weigh them down.
Yeah, I have those too.
So all that shoved into one bag, it's probably like a 50-pound bag, maybe even more.
Wow.
So lugging that around everywhere, it's rough.
Yeah, imagine putting that into your car. It's always a struggle. Yeah, I do the same thing. I've got a think tank roller and then my lighting bag. So before it used to be 4 bags that we would carry, but now it's just downsized to 2, and they all have wheels because they're all super heavy. But yeah, it's a lot easier to manage now to just have 2 bags to go. And honestly, I'm still thinking about still shrinking everything, constantly.
Do you use a camera bag at all too, or do you only use
Yeah, so my think tank bag it's like the Airport International V2. It's a bigger. It fits all my lenses, my camera. It's pre-set up, and then we have just a big roller bag with lights and batteries and chargers and all that kind of stuff, and audio recorders for the DJ soundboard. But everything is just there. Lighting wise, we're downsizing to the new. They're not new. The Amaran 60Ds, the little guys, because really we push these cameras up. We'll shoot 1600 ISO. On a reception, no problem, because I can clean it up in post, and honestly it just looks so much cleaner when it's just a very small little speck of light just to kind of fill the shadows. And so we just have those around. And like you said, you just have those little light stands you can throw anywhere with a V mount. And these lights will last like, 10 hours with that on. So at like 10% power. So that's what we do, is we just have like tons of those laying around, and then we don't have to worry about plugs. We don't have to worry about getting in people's way because we can move them pretty much anywhere. And so, yeah, that's kind of our workflow, is those little lights, 4-angle cameras, and a bunch of tripods and a gimbal.
How many lights do you use? I use like small like LED panels. So they just take one of the big Sony batteries. But yeah, they last for probably 5-6 hours. But we use 3 now. How many lights do you typically use?
I just use 2. So I have one like main light, so it lights up sometimes 3 actually. We use one for the speaker during the reception, and then, which is the most important probably, and then we'll have one on reaction for the couple. And then usually we have a hair light on the speaker itself if they don't have anything that's in the room. So we would put something like an orange gel and put it on the back of the speaker, just so it separates them from the background. But that's pretty much it, like super simple. And then we have a third cam. That's when the third guy comes in to, man either the reaction cam, but also do like reactions of guests. So they'll be on a 70-200 or like a 50-100, 1.8. And then be on a monopod, just kind of sniping through laughter, reaction. So that's kind of what they're doing. And we film everything in one go. We don't like stop, whatever, because when we sync the audio, it's like we just cut the scene A, B, C, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, I shoot it in one go too, and I light the same thing, the couple, speaker, hair light. But the one unique thing about you is you sometimes use up to 4 people to shoot a wedding. I only use 2. You've done solo before and have used 2 also.
Yeah.
But I've never, I think I might have seen someone with 3 people. But can you walk us through, like, when you do have a 4-person video wedding shoot, like, what are your roles? Like, what are the 4 people required for?
I like to be spoiled on my wedding days. I'm not gonna lie. Well, first of all, it's very stressful, right? As you may know. So having a 4th, which, like I said, doesn't happen all the time. But when I have a 4th, the 4th person's usually training with the 3rd guy. So if they're just explaining to them what to do, but they're also very helpful because they're making sure the D cam is always in focus. Like sometimes here in Vancouver, actually quite often we have church weddings, and a lot of times we have like balconies inside churches. So they'd be up there almost like a drone shot on the whole thing. So they be capturing the bride coming down the aisle from the top, so you get that top view, and then also coming back out when they do their first kiss, or after they would walk back out. So that person would typically be up there. We have a C cam, which is the safety on when the priest or the officiant speaking. So that camera's on 70-200, and then we have the groom reaction, which is going to be like the first look at the ceremony, right? And then also vows. So those 2 angles, B and C, are going to be vows. They're going to be doing speeches, or whoever's going to be podium. So they just alternate. And then one guy in the middle, which is usually me, I'll be on the gimbal. And then sometimes I turn around, capture like reactions of guests, things like that. But those 2 always running, safety cam up top. And that's for ceremony. So we don't just hire them because of that reason. Like, they help lug our gear around. They bring the gear to the reception. They hook up the audio for us. They make sure lights are good. They find plugs for our chargers. So all I have to do is, after the ceremony, usually there's pictures with the family members, and then we head to a location for our glamour shots. So all I have to stress out on is I have a fresh battery, good memory card, and I have a fast lens. And then I'm just rolling on the gimbal, doing glamour shots for the whole bridal party. I come to the reception, everything's already set up. My lights are good, my batteries are charged, my audio equipment's there, my 5 audio backups are ready to go. And yeah, we actually do like backup audios on everything. So like the main mic, we just ask permission from DJs if we could tape up one of these DJs on there as backup. We hook up to the DJ soundboard. We have a lav mic hanging down from one of the speakers, set at like very low gain. And then we have one on the table, and then we have usually one tied up to a podium if there is a podium. So it's just like one of those overkill things that we do that I'd rather have than not have. You know what I mean? But yeah, I show up to reception and stress free. I'm done. I'm set up for speeches. I'm set up for grand entrance. Like, I don't got to worry about anything. And usually after that, the fourth person goes home or the third person goes home sometimes. So, you know, they're just there to literally alleviate some of my stress. They're there for 4 hours and then they're gone. You know what I mean? Like, super easy, but also good training for them to know, hey, it's high pace, high stress, come in, and then you go out. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why we have a 4-person, instead of you kind of having to worry about, you know, I have to go in and like set up all this stuff after, you know, because, you know, wedding days are like this, they're like super fast, right? But yeah, that's kind of the reasoning behind it. It's not just like one thing, you know?
That's nice. So full disclosure, this year shooting weddings for me will be the first year that I'm going to like plug into a DJ setup. The weddings that I've shot previously haven't necessarily been narrative heavy, but I have one coming up that is going to be pretty narrative heavy, and I want to make sure that I nail it. So this is the first year that I'm going to be like plugging in and using a ton of backup audio. So I love that you use a ton of backup sources, and I know Nick relates
I
to
use
that.
so much backups, but I think you use even more than I do.
Yeah,
What was
that's
that,
impressive.
5 or 6 backups? I do like 3.
Yep.
No, 3 is good enough. 3 is honestly like probably minimum, I would say, you know what I mean, just in case. But yeah, I think backups will help you. And if you can't plug into the DJ board, you can try and see if there's an output on the speakers. You also plug in there. Yeah, and just honestly, just buy an RCA, buy a 1/4 inch, buy an XLR. Just make sure you have all those from Amazon. You'll be set, because most of the time, like 99% of the time, that's all that you'll need. Just those 3.
Yeah, I have a bunch of that stuff in my cart in B&H, and I'm about to press purchase. I'm about to pull the trigger, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt real bad.
Just buy ones and cry ones.
Buy
There we
ones
go.
with what?
Cry once.
Buy ones and cry
Oh,
ones.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
That's good, yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, no, that's honestly, you're making me want to bring more people on, because all the stuff that your third and fourth person do, I have to do myself. And
Yep.
it is a lot to think about, because I'm trying to get these shots, but I'm also thinking, like, as I'm filming the family stuff, the couples glamour stuff, I'm simultaneously thinking like, okay, as soon as I'm done this, I got to jet over there, talk to the DJ, plug in, set all the lights up before everyone else floods over here. So it's like, I'm always thinking about my next step. But if I had those people with me, they could just do it for me.
Yeah. So you plug in after like a first look or something?
So this is what I guess you kind of ran through yours. I'll kind of run through mine.
Yeah.
My typical wedding day is I only use 2 people max. So I have a business partner for weddings, and we kind of alternate who takes the lead on each. So when I'm leading, I go to the bride and he goes to the groom if we have to split up for like getting ready stuff. And we pretty much don't see each other until the first look. We then reconnect then. We mic both the bride and the groom up. I don't love miking the bride up. It's really a hit or miss. Like, I talk to them, make sure they're comfortable, but I have a thigh strap and a white mic that can run up. So, you know, for the backups, I will always try to, but I don't love it. And then, yeah, for first look, we have 2, sometimes 3 cameras. We sometimes grab a tripod and set that one up. And then me and my partner are on gimbals for the whole first look. And, you know, the family stuff, honestly, in our films, we don't really use that footage, but we leave one of us there to capture it, just honestly for the couple's sake, to make it look like we're doing something and like we're in your day, we're capturing it for you, but in reality, we're not going to use it. But as long as they see us doing it, it's for their sake. Well, so we'll leave one of us there, and the other person will split up, kind of go over to the reception site, talk to the DJ if they're there, figure out like, okay, for ceremony, for reception, are we going to be able to plug in? What can we plug into? Cables needed, stuff like that. And we kind of like mentally lay out like where our light's going to go. We set those up prior, just leave them at the reception site waiting for us later on just to turn them on, basically. Yep. So that's the key thing about having at least 2 people, so you can split up to kind of prepare that stuff for later on. That'll save you a little bit of time.
Yep.
Ceremony, we run 4 cameras, like you, but with only 2 people. So I'm the same thing. When I lead, I'm crouching down the aisle on the gimbal. We have 270 to 200s on the sides. For groom reaction. While I'm crouching in the aisle, I'll turn around, grab the groom reaction myself too. Like you said, film that in 24 frames per second. And then we have one in the way back as kind of just pretty much a backup cam, because we offer raw footage of the ceremony. We do like a ceremony film edit. So it just helps to have a 4th camera to cut to if we need something. And that just pretty much captures the whole crowd and the couple up at the altar. So it's really just a safety cam. Sometimes that one gets in the way when they're like walking down the aisle or something. So we either move it out of the way or throw it in at the very last second. We just make sure it's not in our way or the photographer's way. But we also stress to the photographers, like, this is our like 4th camera. If you walk in front of it, I'm not going to be mad.
No big deal.
It's fine.
Okay.
And then, walk down the aisle, do that. Couples portraits. If we have the ability, both me and my business partner will be at the like sunset kind of couples glamour shots to have 2 angles of it. But if we can't do it, one of us will stay there, get the shots we need with like the gimbal, and ideally like a prime 50 mil 1.4 to get like the ideal shots for us, while the other person goes back to the reception, sets up all those lights, finalizes everything, sets up all the audio. We do backups, like we roll up a lav. Normally it's white tablecloths, right? So we put a white lav just on the table, kind of like what you said. We put it on the couples table to hear any reactions, backups. And pretty much we light the speaker just like you said. Key light speaker, key light on the couple, hair light on the speaker if we can. That's what I like about the LED panels that I have. They're bicolor, so I don't need to gel them. I can just switch to a warmer hue if I want to. The same thing with matching like any dance floor lights or something like that. I can just switch the hue to my liking, which I typically do a warmer hue for the reception when it gets darker out. And then I kind of go handheld for the dancing. And I just switched handheld for the rest of the night and call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a good work. Yeah, solid. It sounds like we're pretty similar in sense after the ceremony. For when like there's the family photos, I just have a tripod there usually. Set on manual focus, set it once and then forget it. And photographer, I just tell him if he need to move it, just literally kick it off the way. Like I will not use this footage. It's just in case the couple goes, hey, I want this family in there for whatever reason. Like at least you have it, right? It's usually shot in 1080 too. Like we don't usually worry about that. But I was actually gonna suggest to you if you were interested in like doing someone like interning or something, like having someone join your team for like a day or so just to kind of train them, but as a third body, so you kind of feel like, you know, what it's like to have a third person or someone that's interested in wanting to work with you or something, right?
I'm kind of doing that for you this year.
I was just going to say, she's actually going to be helping us on one of them.
In August, I'm going to do like behind the scenes for them just because I'm curious to see their process. And I'm pretty new to the wedding game. I mean, I did a handful last year, but I want to really level up this year. So I asked Nick if I could tag along and grab some BTS for them. And I think it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. Cause like
I'll
even just now I've verbalized, you know, our process to her, but it would be a lot more helpful if you were actually there.
Yes.
So yeah. I think that would be
extra set of hands.
It'd be great. I think that'll be the first time we have a third person too. So that'll, like you said, it'll be a good experience.
True.
But yeah, I mean, finding other interns might not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you don't gotta technically pay them. You can just be like, hey, if you want some experience, you know, we've got a couple things coming up and we'd love to kind of work with you in the future. And we could probably set up almost like a payment system eventually if like you like working with us. Like, and then that way you can kind of squeeze in free work, but also you're teaching someone and they can look up to you and be like, hey, okay, they're an amazing company to shoot with. You know what I mean? So it might benefit both angles, you know. And Kayla, yeah, it might be a good idea to learn from Nick on like audios and stuff if you haven't done it before, like to, you know, how to plug into DJs. And it's very important, but once you hear something off a DJ board, you're not going to use something else. Like it sounds so crispy. It's so much better, honestly. And it's a good skill to learn anyway.
Yeah, we actually helped him out on a shoot recently, not a wedding, but he showed me like how to plug into the DJ's system and everything. So it'll be a little bit different at a wedding, but now I at least know kind of how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, we just shot an event and I plugged into their board. It's really all about like making sure you're on the same page with the DJ. Like, I'm not gonna lie, some DJs can be douchey. It really depends. So
Yeah.
just be nice to them. Don't get on their bad side and they will help you out. Like, I've had some amazing DJs who have saved me and helped me out so many times. And then others who are just like, they don't really care. But like, I've never really had an issue plugging in. They've always let me. Sometimes they're a little more reluctant, but they do let me. It's really just explaining to them, you know, what you need. More often than not, they know exactly what you need because they've done this before.
Yep.
So they're like, yep, here you go. Plug in right there. You're good to go.
Yeah, if you explain to them that it's for the couple and not for you, usually like 99% of the time, like, oh, okay, sounds good. Like, you know, like you're just trying to record audio for the vows or something for the speeches for the couple because they specifically requested it. And I would really appreciate it if you could let me do it. Like, usually, like, they just let you. They're super nice. Like, I'm the same as you, Nick. Like, I came across like a few, really douchey DJs. They won't even let me put a backup on their mics because they said it looks ugly. You can't hold them properly, things like that. I was like, you know what? I will just explain this to the couple, and then we can just kind of go from there. You know what I mean? Because at least the couple knows, like, hey, just so you know, your people that are speaking today have to stand in the podium and they cannot move because that's my only mic there. That's the only place we have a lighting on, and I'm not plugged into the board because I can't, or something like that, right? So, but honestly, like, odds of that happening, it's so slim. But when it does, which it will, you know, just think of like plan A, plan B, plan C kind of situation, you know?
Ugh, you got me stressed right now.
That's why photographers at weddings have it easier. Like, audio is the hardest part. It's the most stressful thing.
And it's so important too. I can't wait. I'm like so excited to get into actually paying attention to audio, but it does sound pretty stressful. But I love the way that you put it. And we've said this in an episode before. Like, as wedding vendors, you all have the same goal, and it's to provide your service to the couple. Like, there's no reason for any beef here. So can we all just like help each other get to that common goal?
I had the wedding I shot last week. So you said you use a little DJI mic as your backup sometimes to tape it up. We have it's a Sony, I think, TX660.
I'm buying
it's
that
like a
too.
little stick, basically.
Yeah, the little one.
And it comes with like an actual mic sleeve that literally just slides right on. And I was explaining to the guy, I was like, do you mind if I put this on? It's not going to interfere or anything. And he like looked at it and he literally said, yeah, I feel like this is like a phase. Like, everyone seems to use these. And he's like, I think they're really stupid. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, maybe if you want that, but can I put it on? And he's like, he said yes at first, but then it was like, you know, when you put the mic in the mic holder, when the sleeve is on, it adds a little bit of
Thickness.
thickness to it. So it was a little harder to squeeze in. It fit, but he was like, you know, it's a little too tight. You got to take it off. I'm like, okay, whatever. And he literally said that, yeah, this is stupid. Like, no one needs this backup. And I'm like, listen, I need it.
I know. It's for your mental sanity. Jeez.
I think that might be a good topic to talk about, you know, to kind of let it out here in case some DJs are watching. But these videos, you know, like, these audios are not for us, it's for the couple, right? So like, if we're able to put a backup on that mic, it's gonna save our lives. Like, nothing's worse than watching a video. It's just all echoes and echoes and echoes, and it just sounds bad, right? Because sometimes there could be human error sometimes when we plug into the board where the music is actually separate from the speeches, right? So if the DJ decides to do that and you're not monitoring your audio, you might sound like you're recording music, but as soon as speeches come in, it's blank. It's nothing.
I always assume
New
that the
fear
DJs are
unlocked.
going to mess up. Like, I don't care how experienced they are. I don't even care how nice they are. They might be the nicest DJ ever. I'm sorry. I'm not going to fully trust your stuff. I need backups.
Yeah, and I think there's no like we wouldn't do it in like, you know, like, how do I word this, where we're not trusting them. It's just the fact that I think backups is just a necessary thing to do. And I think that's the point I'm trying to come across here. If some are watching, is that the fact that if we are plugged into your board, like, we're super happy with that. But plan B for us is to have something on that mic, something that's close to that mouth as possible, whoever is speaking. And I think that's the most important part. It's either that or we stop every in between speeches and we put a mic on each speaker, which is just not doable. So like, kindly asking DJs that, can we please put a backup to your mics if we know and can guarantee that it's not going to interfere with your board, it's not going to have any sort of weird sounds and stuff, or it doesn't, it's not bulky on your mics. Like, I think we should find a middle ground where we can kind of understand each other, that this is just as important to us. You know what I mean? So I don't know, I'll say that as nicely as I can.
Yeah. Shout out to all the DJs out there.
I mean, yeah, I've just had too many times where, middle of the ceremony or middle of the reception with the speeches, the mic's just cut out. And I just look at him like, what gives? You said it was good. I'm like, this is why I need the backup, man.
Yes.
I agree. I think that's happened quite often where mid-speech or mid-ceremony on wireless mics, it just cuts off. And it's like blank, nothing. But if you have a mic taped up to that mic, then you still get that audio. You know what I mean? So end of the day, when the couple watches that video, they don't remember that the mic cut off. They'll remember it from your videos that, hey, this videographer captured their audio and it cut off. They're not going to remember the DJ. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, that's a good point to prove. Like, that's another reason why we need backups on that mic sleeve, right? So
yeah. I remember Jake Weiser said, he was like, when that happens, it's like the DJ gets blamed and it's like, oh yeah, that DJ's audio. Like, he said sometimes a groom came up to him after, like, what the hell happened? Like, the audio cut out. And then Jake's like, since he had the backs, he's like, don't worry, we got it.
Yeah.
Because we had the backups.
You have to take ownership. It's your fault if you don't take the time to make those backups. You got to own that. It's not on the DJ. It's on you for not preparing, ultimately.
Yeah, so hopefully it doesn't scare you, but...
Oh, my God.
It also makes them look good. So, years from now, the couple looks back at their film and the audio cuts off, for example, right? They'll remember that, hey, it wasn't as smooth as it did. Whereas, like, if we make it sound good for the entire thing, they're going to be like, oh, that DJ was perfect. That's probably what they'll remember. They'll be like, audio was great. I don't remember it failing at any point, right? So...
Good point.
Yeah. Okay, I guess to kind of start to wrap things up here, can we dive a little into pricing? I guess can we start with weddings, if you don't mind? Like, again, feel free to be as transparent as you want to be, but I'm kind of curious, especially with, potentially 4 people sometimes on weddings. What are you looking at for prices? Do you have set packages?
Yeah, so I found that we still kind of negotiate on weddings, but not as much as any of our other gigs. I just found that if you have set packages for couples, they kind of just choose what fits their wedding day the best. So in that sense, it made sense to have set packages. But just a rough estimate, and this is based off like Vancouver pricing, and I would say this is on the mid to low end, okay? Because I know videographers, photographers here that charge well over 5 figures here, and that's very, very common, and that's in Canadian. So obviously you guys do your conversion. I don't know what it's like there, but here it's very common to see photography 8 to 10 hours at like 5K, and then videos around 5 to 7K on an 8 to 10 hour day. For us, typically we have a package for just ceremony, we have a package for just reception, and then we have a package for an 8 hour. We don't do 6 hour days because we've had it where they squeeze in a ceremony, the glamour shots, and then parts of the reception. At that point, it's like we're already shooting a full wedding. And the whole point is like, we're paying our vendors, our team, our assistants based off an hourly rate, right, of what they do. And it makes so much more sense when it's divided into 2 events, where the ceremony is one event or the reception is another event. If you want both, it's going to have to be a full 8 hour day, because when we do our highlight films, it's hard to create a movie out of nothing, right? Whereas if we capture speeches, we can overlay that on the ceremony, the glamour shots, things like that. It adds more to the film. So that's a lot of the reason why we don't do 6 hours. But yeah, so to quickly break down our packages, we have a 2-hour ceremony, a 3-hour reception, or an 8-hour package. And then from there, it goes up to 10-hour, and then another 10 hours. So we have like 2 10-hour packages and 2 8-hour packages. And then we also break it down to just highlight only for couples who don't really care about having a full ceremony, full reception. So they can save a bit of money. For someone who just wants it all recorded into like one video. And then we charge another premium for someone who wants 3 videos, which is 1 ceremony, 1 reception, 1 highlight film. And then we have another one called our Adventurous Pack. So this one is basically like another engagement shoot on top of everything. And that shoot is actually overlaid into their wedding film. So it's almost like a foundation for their wedding film. So for instance, we have a couple that we're shooting this weekend, actually. We shot their engagement shoot last year because he's a pilot. And they figured that our Adventurous Pack was perfect because they wanted to fly us to a private island. So they did. I flew with them in a private jet. And we're like filming them, just them 2 in the plane. And, you know, we get to this island in the middle, like buttfuck nowhere. And they're just like having a date up there. And it was just like the coolest experience. But they want that added to their wedding film because they've never really had anyone film and do that because it's always just them 2. And it's a big part of their lives. So, you know, like for couples like that, we also have a package specifically for them. But range wise, yeah, we're looking at like ceremony only is like around $12.99 Canadian here, plus transportation on everything and parking. And then it goes up to about $6K plus transportation and parking. So I explained that to Nick yesterday. I said, the reason why we have transportation is because we're shooting weddings from like the base of Vancouver to like the outskirts of BC. So it's kind of unfair for us to be spending $200 on gas one day and then like $15 on gas another day. So we figured, why don't our clients pay for our mileage to go somewhere, right? So we base our transportation off mileage from our office. So currently we're based in Coquitlam. So in a radius of 15K, it's a set amount. In a radius of 45K, it's a set amount. So it kind of just goes up from there. And then anything over 50Ks, one way, we're just gonna, it says just like inquire, because then we'll just kind of negotiate with a couple like, hey, it's going to cost us about this much. Like, what are you willing to do to have us there kind of thing. But, and then parking obviously is a big thing because downtown Vancouver, it's like $30 to park for an hour. Like it's kind of crazy out here. And that's just one of those things that if they plan to have their glamour shots downtown and it's a ceremony somewhere else, then we have to pay $30 just to get down there. You know, that's on them if they really want that captured, right? And then likewise for like a secondary assistant. So we also have packages where I don't have my secondary shooter at the getting ready. So if they only want one getting ready, I can be there at the bride's place. But if they really, really want the grooms, then I have to arrange my assistant to have a car to get there. So that's another add-on they can have. So that's typically when our 10-hour package comes in because that comes with like the assistants and stuff. So I've kind of just like developed everything where it fits every single couple. Like we have couples that they just want videos. We have couples that want like extras where they want like a full film, drone shots, all this stuff. So yeah, we kind of, over the years, we kind of just tailored everything to fit like different types of budget, different types of personalities in couples. Cause you know, like we have couples that are kind of, I wouldn't say boring, that's a very bad term, but like some that aren't too extra. They don't want a lot of attention, but they want it filmed. So in that sense, they don't really want anything like the Adventurous Pack where they go out on a date and all this stuff, right? So private vows, whatever. So then we have a package just for them. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That was perfect.
Yeah, no, that was very thorough. I appreciated that.
I also used to do 6-hour packages and I don't anymore because it's just, like you said, it turns into 8 hours like that, you know, and then they pay you for 6 hours and you get there for 8. So it's like, you know, just bump it up.
Yeah, I've never offered 6. I just, for the style of film that I produce, 6 hours is not enough time for me to capture what I need. But I do have like set packages. This is like, I've talked to you about, you know, value-based pricing for the commercial side of things, but I'm the complete opposite for weddings. I do have fairly strict packages. So I do have add-ons. So it's kind of similar to what you were saying with all your customized packages maybe not as customizable as you, but I think we're in a similar price range. Mine's in like the 4,500 US. We're gonna raise it up soon, but yeah, we only have 2 packages. One's an 8-hour, one's a 10-hour, and the deliverables are pretty similar, except the 10-hour one gets ceremony film in addition to the highlight film. So there's a couple other add-ons there, but that's definitely our more popular one at this point. 10 hours, they get a ceremony edit, and that's kind of just baked in at this point, which is why when I have those 4 cameras at the ceremony, I care a little bit more now than I used to about having those angles. But yeah, I think it's interesting, your pricing structure with the travel and stuff that we talked about yesterday. We kind of just build that all in to ours. Like, we don't customize that. It's only if we had to fly somewhere, then we have a separate fee for that. But if it's in a driving distance that's reasonable in our eyes, then we just kind of leave it as is and build that in.
Yeah, I assume your cost of transportation isn't also as high as Vancouver. So I think because here, like, I don't know what the conversion on gas is, but it's around like $2 something per liter here. So it's around $8 a gallon here in Canada. So it's quite like significantly high here. And so and people know that, so people are willing to compensate here for it. But I kind of wanted to actually dive deep into your thoughts on why wedding photographers, videographer charge so much, considering it's like a 1-day gig. Is it really like a 1-day gig? So I want to know your thoughts, then I'm gonna jump in with my thoughts here.
Let me preface by saying this, and this is going to be a hot take, but I stand by it. I personally would not pay my own prices for a wedding video, and I stand by that. However, so I feel like a lot of people will agree with me, whether they're willing to say it or not. Like, when you think about it, would you pay $6,000 for a wedding video? I don't know. But no, to answer your question, it's not a 1-day thing. Like, even though, on paper it's 10 hours, it's way more than that. It's just like all of our other commercial stuff, like the pre-production. We have Zoom calls, we have phone calls, we have emails back and forth, like talking months, if not over a year, sometimes in advance, to, prepare with them, get to know them, talk to them. We had to talk with all the planners, the photographers, get on the same page as them.
The DJs.
And then, the DJs. And then obviously all the post-production. As you said, it can take a long time to edit these. I don't know what your turnaround time is. Oops, Siri. I don't know what your turnaround time is. I think we do 12 to 14 weeks is our standard turnaround time for a wedding. Maybe that's fast for you because you do more than I do, but yeah, it obviously takes a long time to edit. So no, it's way longer than just a day. So when you look at it that way, and if you were to, hypothetically break it down by hour, because maybe that's easier for some people to grasp, like cost per hour, then it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But if you just see it on paper as like a 1-day transaction for $6,000, it seems crazy sometimes.
Yeah, I know, I get that. I mean, I can sometimes spend easily a half a day the day before the wedding just prepping my gear and making sure I have everything and everything's charged and everything's packed in the right place.
It's funny you say that because we talked about that on the phone yesterday.
Oh my God.
Like how much time it takes you just to pack your stuff up.
It's hours. It's crazy. Yeah, it's not a 1-day thing. I'm sure you agree, but it and also just the sheer fact that you can only capture these moments one time. You get one chance.
You get one chance.
For a lot of these things, aside from, I like that you call them glamour shots. That's nice. It's a fun
I do,
way.
yeah. I do
usually
like
just
that.
say
I'm gonna steal
portrait.
that.
Yeah, I love that. The glamour shots. It's a nice way to put it. But aside from those, everything else is a one-time deal. You cannot stop the ceremony. You cannot do the first dance again. That's it. That's all you get. So that makes it very high stress.
High stakes, high stress. So you need this skill to be able to handle that.
Yeah.
And that if you are trying to justify the price in some way, that could add towards that. Mm-hmm. I guess, what are your thoughts? Why do you think we charge so high?
Well, no, that yeah, I like having your guys' point of view because we're all very similar. And like Nick said, we mentioned this yesterday. How long does it actually take you to pack your bags? Because and then he's like a couple minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. I'm like sometimes it can take up to half a day. You just don't know, right? Like with how much equipment you have. So these are things that I want to open eyes towards my clients and your clients and whoever's interested in videography services and photography out there, is that it's not just one day of work. We're sitting here. First of all, how many days you guys are in your summer? Like, do you guys have weddings in the winter? So you guys have winters there, or like how many months are like the wedding season for you?
Pretty much May through October.
Yeah.
I don't really do winter weddings.
I would love to do a winter wedding.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. It's not as popular here, surprisingly.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to them. I've never gotten an inquiry for a winter one.
Yeah. Well, that being said, like for us, it's 4 months, right? So if you think about it, there's only 16 Saturdays, right? 16 Saturdays available for the whole 365 days. So if you think about securing spots, if you want this style of videos, you only have 16 spots realistically, right? Like you can book more than that, obviously, but most of everyone gets married on Saturdays here. It's very rare to get married on a Sunday. That's probably just because they couldn't get a Saturday spot, and Saturdays are very expensive here. So like all of the venues on Saturdays are typically a lot more, because for the same reason, when there's high demand and low supply, everything goes up, right? So that's my 2 cents on why it gets pretty expensive to book a specific artist to be there at your wedding day, because they also get fought for, right? Like there's a lot of couples that want to have them there, but you get the opportunity to have us there. Does that make sense? And so that's one thing why prices are high. Another thing is the equipment. Like if I give you a spreadsheet right now, what we actually run with, and this is a very mediocre kit, it'll be well over 30K, right? And to rent that kind of, and we use every single one of that equipment that day. So if you were to put a price on how much it would cost to rent it, like how much would it actually be, right? And then there's insurance. There's so many things, like the pre-production planning, the communication, like what Kayla said. If you calculate your hours, like how much is there really left, right? So all of that being said, if you put that all in a spreadsheet, it's actually very justifiable to pay an X amount. Now, whether or not you would pay for that yourself, that's another question, right? Like, I know Nick won't, but if it comes down to that, it does make sense to me why it costs so much. Like, you don't get a brain surgery for next to nothing. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of skill level required. There's a lot of risks. There's a lot of, equipment, things like that goes into it, and knowledge that you're paying for. It's not just the one day of surgery you had. It's also the same thing for video and photo. It's like everything happens once, and you got to have the right equipment, the right skill level to be able to do that and handle all the stress. So I know there's a lot of people out there that are starting out that maybe not as skilled as most people, but like are charging just as much. But that's as any other industry, right? There's always someone that's trying to catch up, but not quite there yet. So there's a lot of like fuss in the industry, but like we don't have to get into that. But what I'm saying is basically like it is justifiable to pay nearly anywhere from 5 to 10K on like full wedding days. Like if you minus your expenses on assistants, your editors, transportation, equipment, things like that, licensing fees, your editing software, your phone, your internet, the things you use on a regular day, like how much do you have left? Plus taxes too. So, at the end of the day, like you're really just getting paid like every other job. And it's not like you have a wedding every day of the week. Like you have one wedding or 2 weddings that week at most. And then you have another one the week after if you're lucky. But that's the thing, is like some people do this full time and they have to rely on these payments, these kind of packages, right? So to me, it does make sense. I personally see them as an investment that will last you more than a lifetime. Like these are things you pass along to your grandkids. And I've made a video about this, that like what else can you look back into besides your photographs, which you can't really feel what it was like back then. You can't listen. You can't, like, there's a lot of senses in a human body that you can relive based off videos. And I think Nick just made a post about that. It was very controversial. There's a lot of people who are like, photos are better. Like, I get it. Like some people might see value in more. That's why there's a lot of people that hire videographers and photographers separately. But if they don't hire for videographers, have they really seen a really well put together film that it made them feel like they were there again? They felt their mother's speeches, their grandmother dancing there, their, you know, all the sentimental stuff that only happens once in your life. Have they really seen a video like that? Because if they haven't, then they haven't considered proper videography. So that's why I stand by video. I think you need both. In my opinion, on my wedding day, I'm going to have both. But for that exact reason is I want to be able to hear what my guests were saying, what I was saying, what my family was saying to me that same day. You know what I mean? Like having a copy of that for the rest of my life, like I'll pay $10,000 for that. No, like what's 10 grand when you're sitting in your deathbed and you were able to look at this and you're like, damn, I was able to relive this memory. Whereas I wouldn't have been able to do so if I didn't get video. You know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely. I would pay for my weddings. No questions. You know what I mean? Or video services. But yeah, I think that's where the selling point is. It's not just the fact that, oh my gosh, you just pressing record. Like that's far from the truth. You know what I mean? It's being able to have your clients relive that day, right? So I think that's how I have my consultations is like, do you really want to live a day where you're going to regret not having this?
Yeah, no.
Yes,
I
drop
stressed
the
that too.
mic.
For
That was
sure.
literally perfect. I could not have said that better.
Yeah, no, that was good. And
Wow.
the person that got me into wedding films, he's the one that told me this. He said that, you know, photography is great because it helps you remember the day, but videography helps you relive it. And ever since he said that to me, I've used that line so many times. But I'll give credit to Alex where credit is due. He was the one that told me that.
Yep.
But yeah, like you just preached, it's all about reliving. And as you saw in the controversial comments of that post, they were all like, yeah, but can you hang a video on the wall? Like, no, but the photos don't let you relive it. You can remember it, sure. But reliving it is different. Feeling those emotions again is different.
I love both. I agree. I would want both for my wedding. And listen, you don't have to pay that much because you have friends who do it, so you're good.
No, yeah, I definitely want both too. Like I would never knock photography. Like I think both is definitely should be a requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think both is definitely important for sure. I think where I took from that conversation was that people were saying like photos are higher than videos or videos are higher than photos. I think there was like a misunderstanding there on like, it's because it's very controversial on like how someone feels when they see something. But again, like my point is if someone says photos are better than videos, like have you seen a well put together film? That's all I'm asking is like, have you seen like anywhere on YouTube even, right? There's so many like Jay and Mac, right? You know them. There's so many out there that do like a really good like emotional film that you actually feel, you know what I mean? Like not just your partner, but like your friends around you. Like, dude, like why did you choose your bridal party in the first place? Those are the most important people in your lives. And they're able to actually relive that day with you and say stuff to you sentimentally that they wouldn't have said any other day, right? Especially the guys. Guys just like, they can't be soft. They can't really say these things to their best friends usually. They usually roast each other. And it's just like the one day that you're able to actually be soft and appreciate who that person is for the most part, and family members. And I think like it's hard to feel that in a photograph. And it is important. I'm just saying like, don't judge a video if you haven't seen a film like that, if that makes sense to you, right? Like I want to be as neutral as possible, but I'm just saying like I don't want one person to go with the other if they haven't really seen data on another side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I mean, the post we put out the other day was kind of intentionally controversial just to spark some, see what the comments were going to give us. And it kind of did exactly what we thought it was going to do.
Yeah, but when you said it in the moment, you weren't trying to be like...
No, I totally meant it in the
Spicy.
moment. But yeah, the reel itself was definitely intentional.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that is a pretty good note to end on. You know, that was a really thorough dive in our weddings.
I love that.
And I think that was
fun.
helpful. I mean, for you, hopefully it was helpful too.
Very, very helpful.
To prepare for the 2024 season. Yeah. But
I got a lot of work to do.
I want to wrap up real quick by just giving you the floor of, you know, what's next for you? Do you have anything cool, anything big coming up, anything exciting? What's going on?
Exciting wise, I think I'm excited to do this new way of me doing my reels. I think it's putting a lot of emphasis and exposure on my life more so than just my work, because I've been kind of slowly getting more comfortable being in front of a camera. Like I still fight with it, like I said, every day, but I just thought my life was like so boring before. Some days it still is, but I think the more I recorded, the more I can kind of look back into what I've done, what I've accomplished, what I've also failed on. And I've been just transparently posting it online. And it's just nice to see, like, you know, where I was a year ago to where I am now, and then where I will be a year from now, and then where I will be a year from then. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to actually keep records of that, because there are, in this industry, like, you're going to go through hell, and no one's going to remind you that you're doing good, you're doing this and that, except yourself. Like, it's a very tough conversation, because when you're a sole proprietor, people might care about you, but in reality, they'll save themselves before they'll save you. And you're kind of all for yourself, as you might know, you know, being a solopreneur, right? So I think it's really nice to have reminders every day on like what you've done well on, and, you know, and I think these videos that you make every day of your BTS and just your workflow just reminds you of the whole process. And I guess that's my biggest thing, what I'm excited for. And it sparked a lot of interest too on at least my side of Instagram. And I'm hoping to capture more engagement and have more eyes out there with all these collaborations I've been doing with multiple people, and people like you guys too, right? So I just hope like I can hopefully create a community, because I know like I'm slacking on Instagram in terms of posting. Like I don't think I'm posting enough in my honest opinion, like to catch up to algorithm, but that's another topic to have. But yeah, that's kind of the one thing I'm excited for, is just the creative opportunities coming up in the longer term, and then hopefully sorting out a team eventually for my wedding, so I can kind of lay off a little bit of the stress there. But otherwise, yeah, I look forward to traveling and doing more of these things. And maybe we should have another podcast, you know, months from now, and kind of have updates for both you guys, and see Kayla, how you're doing in the wedding industry, how you like it, how you don't like it. You know, maybe we can spark up some more conversations about the ins and outs of that part of the industry too. So yeah, I'm super excited, guys.
Oh,
amazing.
Yeah. We definitely need a 2024 wedding season debrief for
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
I'm already feeling it. Well, that was amazing. Hot takes. I mean, hot on the mic all day. Like just clip after
amazing.
clip.
I know you
love
said
that.
you weren't super comfortable on camera, but you crushed it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
I want to apologize though, because the sun keeps coming in and out, and like my video looks like it's like brightening up, and I keep changing the ND, so just fix it up later or something. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. It's actually perfect timing. I gotta leave in like 8 minutes here to get to my other work. But yeah, thanks for having me, and I can't wait to see the clips you guys get out of it. And maybe if you could send me yours too, and then if I have time to do hopefully a bit of my own dabbling in it, and then I can do that and tag you guys, and yeah, we can just go from there. Thanks for all the advice and everything. Appreciate it.
I love it.
Of course.
We'll definitely
Thank
stay
you.
in touch. This is awesome.
And last but not least, where can people find you? Instagram, website?
I'd say Instagram is probably currently my most active one right now. Hopefully I can branch out to a lot more, but yeah, just follow me on Instagram. I probably post there the most currently, yeah.
What's his at?
Yeah, what's your handle?
Cal_creative films.
All right, there we go.
Films with a Y. Just
Films with
we
a
can-
Y.
Yes, films with a Y, because I was already taken.
I feel that.
Got you.
All right, well, thank you again. We'll let you go to your shoots, but this is great.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks again for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Catch us on the Humble Hustle podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Rate us 5 stars, subscribe. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.